Yeah, this movie is full of jokes. It is hilarious and it's got a ton of gross out humor. So, for the faint of heart, don't watch this movie. If you are easily offended, or if you're PC, or if you're any kind of that, don't watch this movie. But
Yeah, I recommend seeing it. It's good fun. Don't let the kids watch it with you.
hello and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis.
And I'm Michael.
And we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. Michael, why are we here?
Today we are talking about Deadpool, the first one.
I love you, Wade Wilson. We can fight this.
You're right. The cancer's only my liver, lungs, prostate, and brain. All things I can live without.
What if I told you we can make you better? You're a fighter. We can give you abilities most men only dream of. Make you a superhero.
You just promise you'll do right by me, so I can do right by someone else. And please don't make the super suit green or animated.
Wait! You may be wondering why the red suit. Well, that's so bad guys can't see me bleed. This guy's got the right idea. He wore the brown pants.
Oh, God, you are hard to look at. You look like the topographical map of Utah.
Exactly.
And we're doing this in preparation for Deadpool and Wolverine, which is coming out soon. And we're kind of excited for that. Woo!
Yeah.
So we're reviewing the first Deadpool.
Yeah, this movie is full of jokes. It is hilarious and it's got a ton of gross out humor. So, for the faint of heart, don't watch this movie. If you are easily offended, or if you're PC, or if you're any kind of that, don't watch this movie. But if you're willing to go along with it, I attribute this movie to kind of like the gross out humor movies of the 90s, like American Pie and Van Wilder, which starred Ryan Reynolds, and a ton of that stuff. That's what I attribute it. I think of it as. What are your initial thoughts on this movie?
Same. I think if there was if the Marvel universe was sitting in a meeting, Deadpool would be the irreverent person that just won't shut up and will keep interrupting the speaker.
Yeah.
Like that is Deadpool in the Marvel universe. That's what I would say.
Well, and that's true in the comics too, because he breaks the fourth wall all the time in the comics.
Yeah.
Like he's always breaking the fourth wall. For those who don't know, it's very much like if you've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, he talks to the audience directly. And that's what Deadpool does. He talks to the audience directly. It's very meta. He's very he's making references to things that the characters in the movie itself wouldn't know. For some reason, he does. And this is very much the part. The reason for the character in the comic books was kind of to make fun of all the other superheroes, and that's kind of what he does. And that's what he does in this. And so originally
he makes a joke at the very beginning. He makes a joke about I had to, like, whose dick did I have to suck to get this? Well, it rhymes with Pulverine. And he's obviously talking about Wolverine.
Which is funny because he's always mentioning Wolverine throughout
just
the
like
entire
in competition. Now he has the same power as Wolverine.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that they're kind of at each other. And like Wolverine was very like stoic and more what's not joking around, and they're
serious.
They're basically complete opposites.
Yeah.
Which is why it's going to be kind of fun to see how they play out this film where they are together. But
So
Yeah.
and the history of this character is very interesting because X-Men X-Men Wolverine Origins was a movie that came out before this movie. Ryan Reynolds was cast as as Deadpool, and they basically botched the character. And Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds was very, very vocal about it. And I mean, so X-Men, nobody's going to remember X-Men Wolverine Origins or whatever it was called because first of all, it was a terrible movie, and second of all, Ryan Reynolds was in it for like 10 minutes and then he was not in it.
Mhm.
So, and he even makes reference to that in this. I mean, Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds makes reference to just about everything, and even his career. I mean, the opener. Okay, the opener. So the very first of this movie, there's a awesome action sequence that stops in slow motion, and then I don't know if I've ever seen this happen, but they have a credit sequence that is he's like
Joke. They're jokes.
they're just jokes.
They're just like
this starring
directed by a guy that or
a tool that's overpaid.
A tool that's overpaid, yeah. Right?
And written by the real heroes and starring some jerk that is full of himself. And it's just, and they're just jokes the whole way through. And what's brilliant about this movie is that it has a ton of jokes in it, but it's a testament to Ryan Reynolds' acting abilities because I noticed like there are real serious moments because he's a character that's a mercenary who gets cancer and he wants to find a cure for his cancer, but he's basically been told that he's going to die of this cancer. And Ryan Reynolds is a good actor. He's sitting there like with tears in his eyes looking at the love of his life after they just agreed to get married. And, all joking aside, he has those serious moments. And I'm secretly hoping because that's what elevates this movie. It's not just pure a comedy. There's moments that elevate it with his acting ability. I mean, you got to admit, so this movie came out in 2016 and it was before the merger between Fox Studios and a little history Disney. So a little history. Marvel owns these characters in the comic book world. They fall on financial times and they sell off a lot of their assets. So Spider-Man was sold off to Sony, and a lot of the Spider-Man universe has been sold off to Sony. Iron Man was kept under their umbrella, and all of X-Men was sold off to all the X-Men. Basically the entire X-Men franchise was sold to Fox. Well, in the last couple of years, Disney had bought Marvel, then bought, so they own Iron Man, and now they've bought Fox Studios, so they own all the X-Men characters as well. And they're going to do something with the X-Men characters, but this will be the first movie under the Disney umbrella with Fox Studios, and it's obviously going to be a little un-PC because the first two movies are rated R. There's reasons for them being rated R. There's tons of cursing, there's sexuality and all that kind of stuff in the first one. And but the thing is that Disney isn't known for doing that. So it'll be interesting with this new movie coming out how much they pull back. My guess is that there's going to be no nudity at all and a bunch of curse words. That would be my guess. Because nudity, female or male, for Disney is kind of, I don't know.
It's become a little taboo.
It's become taboo. So
yeah. We're going to see how they do it, if they try to stay PC, if Ryan Reynolds convinces them to kind of laugh at their own
expense, at the expense of Disney.
At the expense of Disney, right?
Yeah,
because that will be I mean, I don't know Ryan Reynolds' character or anything, but I would think it would be funny to have him make jokes
at the
expense
expense of
of the
Disney.
woke crowd, just because that's
Seems to be
I
turning around. Like,
I mean, he even does it a little bit in the first and second
yeah.
Deadpools. He really kind of does. He's irreverent around those things. So we'll see.
Well, and
But
you know, not being PC is interesting because in 2016 we were a lot less racially charged than we are now, and he actually says something to the cab driver about being brown. He
oh
calls him
yeah,
my skinny brown friend or whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, you can't
yeah,
say that anymore. As a white
yeah,
dude, you can't say that
yeah,
anymore. So you know, it's going to be interesting how they do the comedy in this because, yeah, I mean, it's gross out humor. I mean, the part where they show their relationship, his relationship with her kind of developing,
mhm,
they're talking about all sorts of basically debaucherous sexual stuff, and it is at times humorous, and at times you're going, what did they just say that? You know, because they both talk about, you know, being molested and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
obviously jokes. And I think it was Jimmy Carr, the comedian, who basically in one of his specials he kind of teaches people how to accept jokes. And he goes,
The last time I got cancelled, I upset the gypsies. Thankfully, they've moved on. You can't go around apologising for jokes. They're jokes. So I've got a plan. The next time I get cancelled over a joke, the next time I upset people with a joke, I'm going to come out on the day of the cancellation. I'm going to make a statement, a public statement. I'm going to say, I've rehearsed this, I'm going to say, I'm sorry. And the people that I've offended will say, you don't really mean that apology. And I'll say, so you're saying I could say something and not mean it. Now you're getting it.
and he's like, do I believe that? He's like, no, I don't believe that at all. That's a joke. That's a
Mhm,
joke. You know, and
mhm.
we can say jokes. I guess having said that, should we do spoilers? Do we need to do
Yeah,
spoilers
let's do it.
this movie? Okay.
I mean, it's an older movie, but yeah.
Spoilers now. The surprise, there are a lot of surprises in this movie. This movie is very it's combining superheroes with comedy, and the jokes are just so dirty in some cases that, you know, you find yourself blushing at the fact that you're laughing at it as well.
Yeah.
So, and I'm trying to think of like what is a spoiler other than the fact that he's not like Wolverine in the sense that he is made to
He's
find the,
created. They
he's
create
created
the mutation.
they
They
create the
basically
mutation in him
torture him until he
until his
develops the
mutation,
mutation,
yeah,
and then he has it and he escapes. They they come to him and ask him if he wants to do it, and because of his cancer he's dying, so he figures he'll go try it.
yeah,
He goes and they torture him until they mutate. He hates Francis, who's the bad guy.
yeah. And so
And
it's
he's
kind of
out
a
there.
revenge. This is a revenge movie.
Yeah. And then he thinks that Francis can fix his face, his scarred face. But turns out the end that's not true.
Well, and
He can't fix his face.
this is
Um,
a kind of a Beauty and the Beast motif, because he
a bit.
thinks that he's kind of that she's
He's
not going
too
to love
ugly.
him. He's too
She won't love
ugly.
him.
She
Yeah.
won't love him. Um, you know, and that's, you know, and it kind of makes it for a little bit more of a, you kind of identify with the guy, because I mean Ryan Reynolds has been considered the best looking person of all time and all that kind of stuff. He's like on People magazine and stuff. So he's obviously well aware that of his good looks, but he's also, and he even mentions it, he's like, how do you think Ryan Reynolds got he's not a good actor or something. He says something about not
with
being
his looks. Yeah.
he's there for his looks. So I thought that was funny.
I
I mean,
loved at the end when he got stabbed in the head,
oh my
and then
gosh.
you have kind of this crazy drug dream almost with
Yeah,
this
yeah.
knife in his
The
head,
knife
and
in
he's
his
like
head
waving at the he
at the
sees these little characters come out,
yeah,
uh
the animated
animated
characters.
characters. He's just like, hello.
He's
It's
like,
just
"Hi,
it's
how are
fun.
you
It
doing?"
it's fun,
I
some kind
laughed
of
a
good
lot.
fun action and stuff. Yeah.
If you're interested, audience, we did a video about Logan, the Wolverine movie from 2017. That was a very serious and heavy movie. There's almost no comedy in it. And then this movie is purely comedy. I mean, there are jokes like every other minute. Like the amount of time it would have taken to get all the jokes in. And in the sequel, and we'll do a video about the second one, but I thought there were
Mhm.
less jokes in the second one compared to this. This has got a lot of jokes in it, and
Yeah.
it's just a lot of fun. It's a good fun. So
Yep. So one of the things is that he mentions a lot of like current event or current movie things. Like
well,
when
references. He's referencing
references.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, when he cuts his hand off, he mentions 127 hours.
Yeah.
Which if if you weren't I guess paying attention at the time that came out, it's not really a movie that gets talked a lot
Thought
about.
about. Yeah. Well, and it's
Years after the fact.
yeah,
But
I mean it got a bunch of awards when it came out. I found it a very great movie, but
yeah,
you're right. I mean, after the fact, I mean it's 2016. It's been several years since
yeah,
this came out. I mean, it's like I don't know if a reference to that now, like it does it age well, I guess is the question,
right.
right?
So
So
it's kind of one of those, and you notice this in the second one too, but it's one of those things where he's referencing a lot of current stuff that doesn't quite that may not age well, like you said, may not age well in 10 years.
yeah, when you watch it
Will people
again, you're
quite
like,
get
will you get the reference?
the
Yeah.
reference?
Because not a lot of people talk about 127 hours, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not really a cultural thing. But it I mean, when I first saw it, totally
it
got the reference,
totally got the
and it was
reference,
funny.
and it was
It's
funny.
just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
spoiler alert.
but
I'm
that's
cutting my hand off.
isn't that comedy in general? Like, isn't it hard for comedy to if you reference a lot of things, then that comedy won't age well because then when you revisit it, you have to know what they're referencing, right? I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like the scene with Captain America in the Avengers. You know,
Mhm.
in the Avengers, he says something, and Captain America goes, "Oh, I got that reference." You know,
Oh, yeah.
so I mean, as years go by, how well will this age? It's what did you think of the action in it?
It was good. I think the best was the beginning.
Oh yes,
With
yeah,
the
with
beginning action
with
was the
the
best.
that is a well
They couldn't really
choreographed.
top it throughout. But it was
It's when
it was pretty
the
good.
car chase at the beginning is
Yeah,
probably
car chase
the
at the beginning.
best. Yeah, yeah, it's probably the best. The first action sequence is so well choreographed that this is kind of what sold the movie because they ended up using most of this
Oh, their
as
budget, probably a good portion of their budget on that.
well, they made this without the approval of the studio, and they put it out there online. Now there's a lot of speculation on who did this. People think that it was Tim Miller, the director, and some people think it was Ryan Reynolds, but they put it out there online. It got so popular and blew up that the studio gave them money to make an entire movie, according to legend. I don't know how true that is, but it's according to legend. This first scene, of course, they probably added stuff to it and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
the first action scene is really what sold this movie. And it is a very well choreographed action sequence. It was kind of sad that Tim Miller didn't come back for the sequel, and because he did kind of get this thing off the ground. But it's a funny movie. Is it any better than most comedies? I mean, I don't. What do you think? I mean, it's not something that I'm gonna watch like all the time. I don't own this movie.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I honestly, I think that for me, it's hard to kind of bridge the line in between being serious and being comedy.
Yeah,
I like my comedies to be comedies and my serious shows to be serious. So
yeah,
I think it kind of struggles with that a little bit. I don't have a problem with that, but I I do find it kind of hard sometimes when you're breaking the fourth wall,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you're also asking your audience to be serious about you almost dying,
Because of
or
cancer. Yeah,
your people that you love almost dying, right? That then it's just kind of hard to ask that of the audience.
yeah.
I
To
I
have
feel
those
like
serious moments.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, any more thoughts on that, brother?
yeah, recommend seeing it. It's good fun. Don't let the kids watch it with you.
Check us out on social medias. Let us know what you think in the comments. Is this the best? I would say this is the most funny X-Men movie. That's what
Mhm.
I'm going to go with.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. In the meantime, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more. We'll see you, brother.
See ya.